What's up, it's cinemashogun here, and I came across an absolutely heartbreaking story coming out of Houston. I believe this happened yesterday, and this story is heartbreaking for multiple reasons. And we'll get into those reasons later in the video, but anyways, a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old are accused of stabbing a 59-year-old lady after there was some type of confrontation. The little kids were outside playing on their bikes. I think maybe the lady told them to stay off their lawn or something along those lines. And the kids come back with gloves on and all and literally start stabbing this woman. These are a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old. Now, one of the main reasons why this is so heartbreaking to me is because I have a soft spot in my heart for older people. I was basically raised by my grandparents. And even when I got older, my grandparents had 5 kids. They had a ton of grandkids, but it seems like the majority of them moved away. And my mother passed away. So I was the only one that stayed nearby my grandparents. I was the one that they would call if they fell down. I would be there to pick them up. I was the one that would go to their house every week and cut their grass. If they needed help with anything, they didn't call their kid or that kid or that kid. They didn't call that grandkid or that grandkid. They called me. I was there, always helping them through everything. I was there by their side on their deathbed as well. So, having lived my life always helping older people, even my mother, when she was alive, she was a nurse at a nursing home. So, I just have this soft spot in my heart for older people. And I can't even fathom doing something like this. Now, I wasn't necessarily a bad kid, but me and my friends got into our fair share of mischief back when I was younger. I remember there were some neighbors that hated us. There were neighbors that loved us as well. But sometimes you would have that crazy old lady that would come out and yell at you. Sometimes you would have that person come out and say, "Get off my damn yard!" And me and my friends would laugh about it and we would run away. Joke about it, hee hee ha ha, as we would run down the street, right? Never in our wildest imagination did we think, hey, we need to go home, put on gloves, and get a knife and go kill this lady. But that's the mentality of a lot of young people in today's day and age. It's a mentality that is being taught in the home. It's a mentality that is being almost forced on certain demographics of young people through music, culture, television, you name it. It's absolutely disgusting. I feel horrible that we are at this place in our society. But before I go any further, I want to roll this news clip because this situation was actually caught on video. So I'm going to roll this clip. As you watch it, go ahead and drop some comments. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And then after the clip, I'll be right back with more thoughts.
7- and 12-year-old are accused of stabbing a 50-year-old woman, sending her to the hospital in critical condition. This happened at a home along April Valley Court and Carly Park Way on the northeast side. ABC 13's Liliana Pearson is there. She has the latest on the stabbing. Liliana, the boys were told also live in that neighborhood.
Tom, that's right behind me. You can see the home where that 59-year-old woman was stabbed multiple times. We still have some deputies out here. We see them out with flashlights still looking around the yard. They just took down some of that yellow caution tape that was up around the home. And this is one of the scenes that we found here in this neighborhood, because just 2 blocks away, we found a secondary scene. And while we were there earlier this evening, we did see deputies escort a young boy who appeared to be around 7 years old from one of their patrol units into the home. In surveillance video sent to us by a neighbor at 2:07 p.m. Saturday afternoon, you see 2 small boys on bikes talking with someone. Neighbors tell us it's the homeowner, and she has a complicated relationship with those who live near her.
Lately, it's been getting worse. I guess as her mental illness gets worse, her brain gets worse, so she starts doing crazier things. Just this morning, she was stealing things from her yard guy's truck and was vandalizing their vehicle.
That complicated relationship exploded today. In that home video, we see the two boys leaving after a neighbor shoos them away. But just 10 minutes later, they're back. The younger one wearing oversized blue gloves, the older boy black gloves. The older boy can be seen pulling something out of his pants, charging the woman inside her garage and fleeing heartbeats later as she falls to the ground. They leap back on their bikes and roll away.
Never did any of us ever think that it was going to be kids from the neighborhood that come and attack her.
Neighbors say because of the woman's fragile mental state, her family checks on her regularly. Law enforcement say shortly after the stabbing, her brother came by and found her. She was life-flighted to a hospital and went into surgery in critical condition.
Her brother came and checked by just to check up on her. He checks on her daily. At that point, he just came at the right time. He opened the door and saw that she was stabbed.
Just blocks away, only ABC 13 was there as the sheriff's department investigated outside a second home. At one point, a deputy walks a small boy from the patrol car into the house. Deputies could not say if this is where the boys live. They did say they are from the same neighborhood.
Now the concern is, okay, so if these kids have the ability to do that, do we need to start watching the kids around here? My mom is about to live by herself, so that's also the concern now too. So
I'm Liliana Pearson, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
What in the hell is wrong with people these days? What is wrong with people? And the question I have, should the parents be held accountable for this? Ethan Crumbley's parents were held accountable. I think maybe these parents should be held accountable in some way as well. Now, I mentioned that this was heartbreaking to me because of, my soft spot for older people, but it's also heartbreaking seeing what's happening to our youth. Just a few days ago, we were talking about 12-year-olds who robbed a bank. Now we're talking about a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old who stabbed up a woman because they got mad that she didn't want them riding their bikes through her yard or something like that. It's insane, but it's a problem that we are starting to see more and more and more. In the past, we would have every now and then, on rare occasions, now this type of stuff is happening every day. On rare occasions, we may see a kid who was mentally ill or crazy or maybe had something crazy going on inside their home. Maybe they would lash out and do something, crazy, right? We would see cases like that every now and then. But in this situation, I don't think that 7-year-old or that 12-year-old is necessarily mentally ill. I don't think they're necessarily a psycho killer that snapped. I think they're products of their environment. I think that they have been encouraged to act this way because of the music, because of the culture, because of the content and the media that they consume. When you're listening to the radio or whatever music you're listening to and they're constantly talking about killing people. And when you turn on the TV and you're constantly watching shows about fake gangsters and thugs. And then when you live in a home that teaches you violence at an early age and you're part of a community that glorifies violence, this is the product of that. We got little kids with guns in Chicago and other inner cities across America that are killing people at alarming rates. And we even have kids in the suburbs now who are doing things like what you just saw on that video. And like I said, this is something that's taught in the home. It's something that's glorified within the community. And then when something like this happens, they will blame some other outside factor instead of looking inwardly. At some point, something needs to be done about this. At some point, there needs to be some change because it's insane watching some of these kids and even older people just crash out and do crazy things because of how they've been influenced. You know, it's like some kids these days, their brains aren't even able to properly form. You know, they're not able to wisen up and mature in the ways that we did because they're so heavily influenced by certain things that are going on within their community and what have you. But yeah, like I said earlier, it's a heartbreaking situation. I think these kids should be locked up. I don't care if you're 7 or 12. Listen, when I was 7 years old, I knew better than to go stab a old lady. And if you're doing something like this at 7 and 12, I don't think these are going to be productive people in society. That's another conversation that we need to have. Because I don't care if you're 12 years old and people can say you don't know any better. If you're doing something like this at the age of 12, what are you going to be doing at 18? What are you going to be doing at 28? So as far as I'm concerned, when we have people who do things like this in this society, I think they should be casted out. I could be way more harsh than that, but I'll just keep my thoughts to myself. But for now, let me know what you think about this. And honestly, those of you out there, you may want to think twice before yelling at the little kid who's riding a bike down your street. Because unfortunately, we live in a day and age where that little kid may go back to his home and get a weapon and come kill you because it's something that they were taught was cool from their parents, their peers, and the music and the culture and the movies and what have you. And I used to think it was stupid when I was a kid when people would blame music and video games for the actions of crazed individuals, but now I know it's a reality. That not everyone is built the same way mentally. I can look at things and listen to music and not be influenced by it, but other people cannot. You have to realize that for the most part, we live in a world of complete idiots. We live in a world of people who have low impulse control. They don't think things through anymore. It's just surface level. Everyone's surface level. People will do things without even having the ability to think 2 steps ahead about the consequences of their actions. And that's dangerous. But that's the world we live in. These are the people that we're surrounded by. Act accordingly. Let me know your thoughts though down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. If you want to donate to the channel, you could do so via Cash App. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.